president, Papadreou, of Greece, is a member of the Bilderberger Group, and he's an illuminist. And this is a guy that's trying to sell off everything in the country for 30 cents on the dollar to pay off the bankers who made the money up out of thin air to lend to them. I mean, it's insanity.
Typically, he's obviously Greek birth, but these people are internationalists, aren't they? They're New World Order illuminists, as you say. They're They don't care. They don't give a jot about their own country. It's just about earning more profit and destroying the system. I mean, there's no limit, from what I notice, to the depths they plummet in regards to making a profit.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And in each country in Europe, you have these groups of people, some of which you just named in Germany, who are still in power. And if you look at the Nuremberg trials, you'll find that Thyssen and Krupp were supposed to have been disbanded by 1948. And when in fact they never were disbanded, and they finally were merged. And it is still the powerhouse today that they were when they financed Adolf Hitler and Mussolini with the money that came from Paris and London and New York.
It reminds me, the whole situation of lending money that doesn't exist in the first place. It reminds me of that Fantasia scene with Mickey Mouse, where he produces a magic wand and makes this broom throw a bucket of water down the steps, and then another one turns up, and there's more water coming down. Before you know it, it's a flood, and the whole the water level is rising, and Mickey Mouse just can't stop these mops reproducing themselves exponentially. And I don't remember how it works, but that reminds me of how this debt system has been set up. It's completely designed to fail, and it's a snowball. Once it starts going, you can't stop it. But there's some really solid. I've got to say, Mr. Chapman, there's some really solid solutions. How are the Greek people responding to that?
I really don't know. I was also interviewed by their largest newspaper, and the interview was front page. So
really, they allowed that?
I would say that there were several million people, and this documentary will be on the equivalent of public television in Greece, and I believe that it'll probably be seen by millions.
Oh, there'll be a few heads rolling at that.
And I think the leadership in Greece is going to be very unhappy that I'm on there, but it's the truth. I mean, it's the unvarnished truth.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah. Well, here's something I don't normally do, plagiarize other people's work, but I listen to Alex Jones a lot, and he's made a video this week calling for the states to launch a criminal investigation into BP, and the carbon tax scam is such an integral part of the New World Order's plan. Copenhagen was a massive failure for them, so I want to back what this guy is calling for. States need to launch a criminal investigation into BP, federal government's role in oil spill, and he goes over many points. I think that's a great idea. He does go over quite a few points. I mean, it's a bit like Columbo. You got to come up with motive and reason, and to prove that the process was ongoing, and that there was intent. And I think this is a great thing.
Well, first of all, I've seen the video, and it will be in my Saturday edition because I carry almost all of Alex's links. Right. And it'll be at the top of the agenda. And Alex is right. One of the things Alex didn't have in there, and I just saw the video today, just before we got on the air, is that our president, whatever his name is, it's hard to tell because he's had several names.
Oh, Herr Satara.
Yeah, and then there's been other names too. When he was doing his work for the CIA. But the main point here is that he has investments at Vanguard. And Vanguard is a money management company that has mutual funds. Yes. And they were very heavy in BP stock. And as you probably know, and your listeners probably know, about 3 weeks prior to this incident, as Alex explains it as well, the firm of Goldman Sachs sold 44% of their interest, and then they sold more after it happened, and I believe they're probably short against the box, which essentially freezes the rest of their position. The CEO, Hayward, of BP, sold 1/3 of his stock, and my guess is he's frozen the rest of it as well, so he won't lose any more money. But then this Vanguard caper, because Obama was invested heavily in the funds there, they were informed to get out. And so we have 3 pieces of information. Obviously, one Alex didn't have when he made the video earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And we'll probably discuss that tomorrow when I'm on the program with him.
Yeah.
And this is kind of my ballywick because I happen to know who all the criminals are because I was in the investment business for so many years. And there's not much they can do that I haven't seen them do before, that I know what they're doing, and most people don't.
Well,
and I know what crooks they are.
Was to make money off the oil spill, and the Deepwater Horizon managers knew about the oil rig problem before the explosion, and on the rescue ships, employees could be heard screaming via satellite, "Are you effing happy? The rig's on fire. I told you this was going to happen." And yes, 44% of the stock was taken out by Tony Hayward, who's since stepped down or been asked to step down or something, as well as Goldman Sachs and their 44% of $250 million or something of stock. And Halliburton then buys the cleanup company in the Gulf. I mean, come on, what more do you need?
No, we got it. This time we're going to get them. And what they did, from what I can understand from pros in that industry, they drilled into I'll call it a tar dome, and yes, there was oil in there, and they vented it so the methane wouldn't go wild, and then they started their own fire.
I think
the whole thing is a false flag operation, and I said it from the very beginning. It's just another caper. And this time they're going to get caught.
Well, it even caught Alex Jones off guard. He couldn't even imagine that this false flag was coming. There's one question I have for you. You mentioned that we're going to get them this time, that it's sloppy. I mean, why do you think these companies risk exposing their complicity? I mean, are these staged attacks like a quick thought in some cases, or maybe it reduces whistleblowers from blowing the attacks if they all move at the same time? Or do you think the greed makes them sloppy?
Well, the greed does, but there's a bigger picture here. They sacrifice a $100 billion company, or whatever it's worth, for hundreds of trillions of dollars. The sacrifice is worth it. Who owns the company? The Queen of England?
Yeah.
The Shell participation through the Queen of the Netherlands, the Rothschilds, and they're all in on it. So they say, hey, look, this is going to be a big one. We got to get carbon taxes. We got to get cap and trade. It's worth sacrificing BP for that, and we won't even have to do that. Well, they are going to have to do that. Again. We've caught them. We've caught them, and they're going to pay.
Excellent. What's the next step? Can you,
and even if they don't pay, everybody in the country and the world is going to know what they did.
Yeah. But they're
no, we're going to win.
So what would be the next step? Is enough evidence of collusion and intent collated now that you can go to trial with it, or at least attempt to get a judge on board?
Well, first of all, not being an attorney, I don't know. And it would take an attorney general from one of the states to file criminal charges. And are there any that have that kind of guts? Because they know there's a good chance that they or their family may be murdered. I mean, these people are assassins. They're crazy.